mail it and you'll get it a lot faster.
Okay.
Yeah,
You just have to ask them for the electronic version.
yeah, if they can send it to us electronically, so we get it more in a
Okay.
timely fashion. Is there a second?
But even if you get the, no, you're fine. I'm sorry, finish and then
Is there a second?
sorry.
I'll second that. And then, because of this ordeal, hold on.
Let's get the motion down first.
I did, I seconded it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
So,
Okay, Charlie.
the thing is though, is because of the ordeal that we're having, and we know we have to pay the OTEC bill regardless of what it is when it comes in. When it comes in, can't Renee go ahead and cut the check and then you and I can sign it? She can get it mailed off and then come back to council and present this to council?
Because
So what there was a
even
law-
if we get that electronic bill sooner, it's still not gonna get paid until you guys vote on it.
Well, the bill goes out on the 7th.
It comes from them on the 7th.
So if they would do it electronically.
Right, but the point is that the due date is today, council meeting is today. So when we get the bill isn't
It's not relevant.
relevant. It's the due date and your council meeting dates that are so close, that are
What is the due date?
today.
Today is the 27th. So if they send it to us electronically first thing in the month, though, we would be able to.
But we might be able to get it in the first billing. Okay, I'll try that.
Let's try that, because if she gets it electronically on the 7th, that should hit a second or the first.
The second Tuesday.
Okay.
Yeah, okay,
And then we won't have this problem. So,
sweet.
we'll try it and see.
Okay.
Okay, reports. We have a guest, Jeffrey from Baker County Weed is here. Come on, Hunter.
Thank you, council members.
Can you stand up, please?
We have a lovely.
Stay here, or you want me to?
Thank you.
So you guys, a good side, they get a bad side, you get a bad crowd. Because you guys are the decision makers, right? They represent you, so therefore you're more important than them. They're just the ones that get all the crap. Right? Thank you, council members. I do appreciate this time once again to present and talk to you about the small weed problem that we have in Baker County. As I'll introduce myself again, I'm Jeffrey Pettengill. I'm the county weed supervisor for the county. I do work for the county commissioners at their leisure, pleasure, something like that, but mostly you guys as well. And so I was actually requested to come and talk to you guys about what it would take for Baker County to actually come in and help the city control the weeds in their right of way and all their other stuff. And I'm working with the Department of Ag and see what we can do about parks and schools and different stuff like that, so that we can deal with that program. I come with about 30 years of experience behind me on dealing. I'm licensed in turf. I'm licensed in right of way, agriculture, about everything that you guys would want. We're licensed and insured to do that, carry that ball through that. As you guys can tell, this is a pretty good weed year that we've got around in here this year. Not only was it really good because it's been, anybody want to tell me how much measurement of moisture we've had since like the in February? Probably not even enough to fill your hand. And so you can tell by looking at things on how that relates to weed control. Our desirables stay suppressed and the weeds really like it because mainly the spotted knapweed, which is that beautiful purple plant we have here in the city. It's all the moisture from down there and building it up. But it's also been very hot. Early spring was very windy, very nasty. And so we weren't even able to get out and spray even our county roads. You know, I was doing some figures earlier today. And we have about 2,000 miles of road. There's 1,000 miles, but we have to double that because each side. And we got 400 miles of road sprayed this spring, this year, up till date. Quit spraying. Actually, last road I sprayed was Cracker Creek up here last week, trying to kill it, the knapweed and all that. And we all are starting to go to flower and seed, and it just does no good once you get to that point. But we're really looking forward to spraying spotted knapweed in the fall. It is what they call a biennial or short-lived perennial. And once we get rains in the fall, right? We're gonna do that because you're all doing your rain dance. So we'll get the rains. And then you get that 26 degree, or what we call a killing frost. You can spray it then, and you'll do it. One of the best jobs of killing the weeds, and next year you won't have a weed problem. It comes out. And, you'll be able to see a lot of places where we sprayed, because several we missed, or the spray patterns didn't get. So we're doing that. And other than that, a lot of other weeds come up and all that around, and been pretty tough year all the way around. You guys can tell that about everything else. One of the old businesses that we had when I spoke to you guys last was that we need some kind of an MOU, and as I'm talking to a lot of the other counties, even a motion to state that you would like to have Baker County Weed come in and into the city limits and work with the private landowners within the city. Remember me talking about that way back when? We already carry the state law behind us. The legislature sets up the law, and then they pass that down to the county commissioners, of whom assign me to make sure it gets done. And so we already govern over the city residents anyway. It fits within that. The only people we can't actually do what could be quote unquote enforce on, and I'll talk about the weed law here in a minute, is any federal lands. But we can go across the state, we can go to county, other county properties, we can go to cities. We can actually, send you guys nasty letters and really step hard on you guys, as well as the private individuals and everything like that. So state law says that everybody of any of the weeds that are out there. When I talked to you guys last, there were 65 noxious weeds that we had in Baker County, and we changed that a little bit. There's only 175 now. And what I did on that is there's a whole bunch of state listed weeds. The state has their list, the county has their list, and there's nothing that says they have to correlate. And so what I did is, because if we want to go after grant monies from the state Oregon Watershed Council, they allot a lot of monies for grants that we can go after. If it's not on the state list, we're not going to get the money. So if we have something like Horiolissin is one that we found outside of Haines. I found it last year. If we find it up here, I can't go after grant money because it's not on my county list. So all of these weeds I added to our list. The majority of them aren't going to change what we do day to day. But the other side of that is by listing all of that. So there's a Class A weed, which are the weeds that we want to concentrate on. And then there's a Class B list, which are weeds that, they're on the noxious weed list, and we can, send enforcement letters and do all the hardcore work and request grants for these on a B list. But I also created what I called an EDRR, Early Detection Rapid Response. That is, if we find a particular weed up here, and it's never been here before, and we find it on, let's say, private property, we'll work with that landowner, but the county assumes all the costs and we just take hold of that product that way, because we don't want it to, start spreading on other lands, because we don't have our hands full yet. But we want to make sure that we are in charge of that. We look for it. We work with all the adjacent landowners as we have the ability to, and so we take it out, and there's no cost to the landowner. Majority of those added weeds are in that category, so that we can really start to, really key to weed control is finding when there's just one or two plants. Once we get across the horizon and you start seeing that down the streets, the battle's over. Now we got to get into a management program on that whole thing. So we changed our cost share program, changed our herbicide giveaway. You may have seen me in here a week or so ago giving away herbicide, and if anybody participated in that, and it's a set day of a month that we're going to do that. You show up, you tell me what weeds you have, and then I've got a chemistry set there, and I put together for what you want, for what you weed and where it's located, in your lawn, in a pasture, on a ditch bank, in the water. We've got all sorts of herbicides like that. And then the last little thing, and so I don't know how you guys want to discuss that agreement to have me come in. And I understand you can do it through a motion, because that puts it in the minutes so that it's approved, and then anybody questions that why is the county and the city, we don't have to go through this big thing. That yes, we do have that political connection, and the city council is aware and working through the county commissioners to make sure that we are in here to do that. So
On this proposal though that you sent us, it says we have approximately 8 miles of road. However, you gotta double that, so it's 16 miles road. But down here where you put in the dollar amount to treat this, you only put 8 miles. So that should be 16, so that 333 should go to 60.
no, sir. I put it in as The 8 miles is what most people would say that there's miles of road.
Right.
Okay, so if anybody on the outside starts to look at this, we don't have 16 miles of roads here if they don't read the entire document. Okay, so I did the math according to the 16 miles, but when it really comes to the amount of miles you have, it's the 8. Okay. If you, unless I'm wrong, but if you run everything down through here, it will come up to that $800 at the 16.
Yeah, because it gives you an hourly charge of what you're charging. And this says you're approximately 6 hours to treat 8 miles of road, but you're actually treating both sides of the road.
Correct.
So it's 16, so that's,
No,
I didn't get my calculator out, I was just
No.
looking at the number.
No, I'm just guessing we could go through the town in 6 hours and do both sides.
Okay.
And that's a swag, silly wild ass guess on what it would take, but it's generally like that. I was talking to a couple of private applicators earlier today and asked them, hey, is something you'd be interested in for your benefit, council members? They're like, no, we don't want to go into cities. Too many people to deal with, we've got 5 neighbors that really like what you're doing, and you've got the one neighbor that comes out and wants to fight you because they don't understand the safety of the pesticides and all that kind of stuff. So, but that's my best guess, and that's the responsibility I will assume. If we get into this, and this is the separate subject that I was going to get into, by the way, council member, is that we do this the first year, and then we just modify the program as it goes along. In future years, how we're going to do this.
And that also makes him responsible if overspray gets onto trees or something. He's responsible for that, not the city.
Right.
The
Yeah,
city
just
does.
council member, if we could work, if you guys want to go ahead and make the motion to have the Baker County Week come in the city limits, that would be great. If you want to hold that for another meeting, that would be great. And then we can get into this other issue of if we did come into contract to the city. I think that would be its own discussion on its own.
And
Does
that's-
this include alleys?
Renee, I think,
It's the county map that says we're 8 streets, but I'm not certain about alleys.
the alleys and stuff like that. I don't know. I got the numbers.
Yeah, and I went
From
on
the
the
Public
county
Works
map.
Department, right?
Right.
So that would be this fall, right after the first frost. It would
We
come
very
in.
well could do it. Absolutely.
And that's for the total of 800 plus.
Yeah, and I really don't think it'll come to that kind of money, to be honest with you, because I've driven around town and most of the spotted knapweed is held within the main street here. And as you start getting up further, you really start decreasing the amount of spotted knapweed. And then even some of the side roads coming in, like Cemetery Road and all that, there's not a whole lot on those roads. So this is if we turn the sprayer on and spray it every 9 miles.
So who do you get your grants from? Does the grants like help us pay
It can, absolutely can.
and you apply for those?
Because
You need help?
yeah, one of the things that we do is, when you look at the state monies, the state legislature kicks money down through the Water Enhancement Board, and then we can apply. And we can apply as a county, as a city, as private landowners, other entities, to all become into it. And then we start getting into the in-kinds and all that kind of stuff, And that's where the cities can really kick in, is you have the Public Works Department that are paid employees, and we can use part of that as the in-kind match to that. And plus, if you have a little bit of cash match, it really goes further for what we can do with the money when we request it.
So the chemicals that you're bringing in now, are those, because I've had some private citizens say they missed you and they wanted some for their property. Can they apply those now, or are you giving it to them and they apply it after?
The ones I gave a week or so ago should have been applied then. And when you start to see all these in full bloom, you'll get about 60% weed control out of that instead of a good 90, 95. So it depends on where you want to go with the program. I would say no, don't apply it, let's wait till fall.
I'd like to, go ahead. I'd like to say also that, as city employees, the only thing we can run is a backpack sprayer because we don't have our applicator's license at all. So we can't even put a pressurized rig on a 4-wheeler and spray ditches illegally as a city employee, unless we have our applicator's license. That's the only way. We can only apply with a backpack if the city employees were to have to do that process.
Let me reword, you're absolutely right. You cannot, as a city employee without the applicator's license, cannot use powered equipment. Anything powered, CO2 powered, air powered, battery with pump, manual power, hand pump backpack or a little hand can is exactly, so to that word power is how they limit that. So you can do a little incidental stuff, you just can't do it for major.
But if the city goes ahead and does this, the private individuals can contact you and get on a list to do it at the same time when you come in and do the city roads.
Once again, I would like to back up and find out, are you guys want to do that motion for me to come in the city limits and all that, or do you want to come up with an MOU? Because these are two separate issues.
Okay.
Do you have a copy of the MOU?
I don't, but it can be done as a motion.
Well, but I'd like to see what we're committing ourselves to.
You're committing yourself to nothing more than opening that state highway so the county can drive into the city limits and deal with the weeds that we're already authorized to do. There's no liability under the state law already is already in my departments. We already do it. We have the authority of trespass. We have the authority of doing all that. It's not going to reflect on the city at all outside of the relationship between the county and the city. We're just trying to make sure that the city is saying, yes, we would like to have the help of the county.
I move we do it.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Okay. All in favor?
I love these motions.
All opposed?
How's that working a minute? We do it.
Yeah, we do what?
Okay, so now let me give you a little presentation, and especially for the benefit of the citizens here. So one of the things that I was approached with is, what would it be if the county came in and actually contracted to the city to spray the weeds? And so I came up with some figures that Councilman Briscoe was throwing out, these dollar figures, and it's all a good guess for the most part. Outside, the Public Works gave us a figure of how many miles, and that's figured by X amount of length, X amount of width, and going in and out of spraying on that. As Councilwoman Damaris put it, when we come in and contract to do that, we assume all the responsibility and all the liability. The liability falls into numerous categories. One, we're licensed professionals. We have the license from the Department of Ag to do that. We have the insurance that's required to be a licensed professional in that. And we also have the knowledge of what product, where, what equipment to use and everything else. And then we also assume all the liability. So as it was pointed out, is if we're going down there and we drift over into somebody's flowers and kill the flowers, we are financially responsible to work with that landowner through the insurance company. And then one of the things that you'll get regardless of whether you do the contract with us or not is what the county already can bring to the table. Consulting, we can come out and do the Public Works guy. And we can come out, ride around with these guys, identify the weeds, identify the problems, talk about what they can do, talk about what they can't do, build a full weed management program. And that's already, you guys are already doing that as myself being a county employee, trying to help out one of our cities. And that'll happen whether you guys do a contract or not. If you'd rather find somebody else to do it, and then we just sit down and work together with council with the Public Works and say, here's our program. This is how we want to use integrated pest management. And the term integrated pest management means we're going to use all the tools in the toolbox. Biggest thing I need to do up here, and I'm going to do some research, is get a bunch of insects that we can release that only eat spotted knapweed. Okay, so if the spotted knapweed was to disappear, the bugs go away as well. They are that specific. It takes more work to get an insect released in the country than it does to get a pharmaceutical drug released for your use. Okay, and that's just because there's certain areas we can't get to. Next to the creeks, next to the rivers, next to these steep mountainsides you can't get to, and they just slow down the spread. They're never going to eat the weeds out of house and home because that's just not simple population dynamics. But as far as of this application and all that, that would be a one application kind of a deal. And then we can work out different things on a secondary application, as I mentioned. That's one of those things where we just have to start baby steps. Anybody in here know how to eat an elephant? One bite at a time. That we're just starting on that and going that way. So does that help clear up some of the different issues that come up? What it would be is if we came in as a county and contracted and helped out the city on doing that. The other thing that I was going to throw back, and somebody was mentioning about the giveaway program, one of the things that I'd love to do is to say, okay, on this day, let's say in June 20th, this next year, we're going to come in and spray the weeds or this fall. Okay, we're gonna advertise, we're gonna put up signs, we're gonna put it, in the newsletters, whatever you guys have. And then if you want to spray your own property, catch one of my applicators, which would be me or I've only got a seasonal, and then we can mix up and give products to the landowners, because since it's their own property, they can use powered equipment, they can spray, and we can use different products and get them so that even on private land, they can show up and go spray. And we work together, we're all in this battle together. And then hopefully, and then we start working and then we get these absentee landowners. I know that's a huge issue. And that's really where the strength of the law comes in. You own this piece of property, you don't come here very often, you got a weighty lot. Send them an Ashton says, you have 9 days or something about your weeds. 95% of the time in my history, when that happened, they would call me and say, I don't know what to do. And my answer is, you've done it. Now that you've contacted me, let me tell you the programs that we will play. I don't send letters of the programs, cost share, giveaway, and all that. Because let them be part of the community to learn on this stuff. So, and then we can start really this elephant and start eating it from inside out, kind of deal. So.
Will you charge the landowners when you do the giveaway?
Not on the giveaway, I wouldn't think. Now, that's something I'd have to kind of process through. Because what I've seen a lot of these lots, 5 gallons of free product, that's mixed. We'll do about 5,000 square feet. So these lots down over here, they're about 5,000 to 6,000 square feet. And if they wanted us to come and spray it, which I don't see why there wouldn't be, anything wrong with that. If they're like, hey, while you're at it, can you spray that lot? Yep, put your name, address, sign this form, and then we just turn the 4-wheeler over and go spray those lots. And we send that landowner a bill for what we've done for them, no different in the city.
What if he doesn't want to pay it? What if you have a reticent landowner?
Well, that's where the enforcements come in, because the strength of the noxious weed law states that it's not thou should control your weeds,
You will.
those shall. From the history that I understand, the county hasn't stood behind that very much.
Right.
They call the landowners, and the landowners go, I'm not gonna do anything. And the county says, shame on you. Well, if we send an enforcement letter, okay, they have 9 days to respond. From that 9th day, we go out, I just take the enforcement letter, drive a stake in the accessible point of the property, and says to be enforced on. I give them another 9 days. Now we're 18 days out, by the way. And if they don't do anything, we just take the bolt cutters and cut their log. And we will go spray. If they keep telling me I'm gonna do it, I can put a timeline that says, okay, you got exactly 2 weeks to finish this. I don't like herbicides. You don't have to spray it. But you need to go out there with your shovel and start digging up every plant. Well, I'll just mow it. That's good. And then we'll have the same conversation in 2 weeks because it's going to grow below your mower deck. Anybody ever tried to kill spotted gnat with a mower? You take a plant from this tall, when it's about that tall. So there's ways around it, okay? But it's called having one of these things called a spine.
So how do we let you know if there are some?
Then that's the best part is you just call me. You just notify my office, either through email, text me, all that kind of stuff. And then we'll get to the point where we'll follow up with it. And I physically have to come and see the property. I don't believe in just sending letters off of somebody else's word, because what's going to happen if I don't have that? And I would say, remember where you got that little propane tank on the left-hand side of your shop? And by the way, here's a picture. That's where the napoli is. So that I can talk when you start to do that.
What's your email?
It's goaway.com. You're not really going to write that, are you?
I'm going to send you an email.
So my email is,
I printed out his email and forwarded his email to you, so you should have his email.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
we've got
it's
his
in that.
card up there.
Okay.
and my card's up there. I've got some in my pocket. It's actually jpettengill@bakercounty.org. But if that's easier, and like I said, there's a stack of business cards over there and all that. But you can email me. And if you've got, I know a lot of the native plants. There's a lot of new invasives. If you got a plant you don't know what it is, what's the definition of a weed? It's a plant out of place. Corn in a potato field is a weed, right? So if you have something that looks out of place, and that's the big part of this whole doing this contract work is to educate people. Text me a picture. I get 3 texts a day. Can you tell me what this is? If I don't know what it is, I'll send it up. So, council members,
Perfect.
any other questions or comments?
The question behind this.
Yes,
State Park.
State Park. It's interesting. The herbicide giveaway, that I did over there, want the assistant to come over to get his, for his RV park. We started talking about it. And that's,
Just now, just put it,
okay.
they don't have spray that will kill knapweed, so he won't use it.
Well, that's as I was telling him, I said, I'm giving you Milestone, which I do, great product. It'll kill it, 97% control. And if we can work on community spray days and all that, we can get the state parks to participate. Our worst partner, to be honest with you, is the Forest Service. You know why? The Forest Service up here, Wallowa Whitman Forest Service is only allowed to use 8 different chemistries, and none of them kill white top. I mean, spotted knapweed. And so Scott got his hands tied. They have to do all these EPA documents, and I'm gonna try to start pushing them like, why does every other forest in the nation, in the area say, yes, you can use these products, but your little world says, no. You're gonna lose this battle, and I know how to fight that with Congressman, by the way. I'm not afraid of Congressman. So, does that answer your question?
Yeah, how does that spread? Is it spread through wind?
Spotted
Seeds?
knapweed?
Yeah,
Yes.
okay. That's why Bass State Park is right behind us and our yard is.
Right. It
You can
moves-
come to my place this fall,
Yeah.
because it's complete now.
You got it. Spotted knapweed does have the little plumes, so the seeds are spread. I think it gets spread more in this area, probably by the wildlife, because the deer will walk through and seeds get, it's not like the burr, the houndstone or anything that binds, but it'll just kind of wedge itself in, and it'll walk down the street, it falls out, and birds come in and feed around in it and all that, and then they spread it, so wildlife and all that kind of stuff.
Is white top, is that the same for white top?
White top generally will spread a little bit from the seeds. It's more of it's not a one that spreads in the wind, but the birds will spread it. But white top, Canada thistle, field bindweed, and all those, it's a rhizomatous weed. So 90% of that plant is underground as roots. And if you're walking through a patch of white top that's kind of muddy, and you break it off and it gets stuck in the wedge of your shoe, and then it falls off 20 feet down, it'll re-root and grow a whole new plant from the root stock. So, different ideas there.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank
Okay, moving on, Public Works.
That's us.
What's going on?
Water's getting a little, we're
Can you step?
we're about 180 gallons a minute right now. Free flow without counting, and we're going on to that. But Macaulay Creek's getting kind of scary though.
Yeah, it's dropped from Friday to Monday, it's dropped 4 inches and we'll get to the point where we'll be pulling all the water that it can produce. We'll be taking it all in our inlet rate probably in a short time. And at that point, we need to go to 100% water restriction as far as no more water at that point. It's gonna happen, for sure.
If it falls below 180, we can always go to our backup. We can get what, 130 out of there right now, is what we're getting?
About 130 out of O'Farrell Creek possibly.
We can't combine the two, but we can, but one's spring fed, the other one's reservoir fed, so.
Right now, as low as it is, we're keeping all of our tanks completely full. The filter beds are completely full. If we get a fire, we're in as good a shape as we could possibly be. So that's probably the
We
biggest
can always put
concern.
more water out of this creek here.
Now, you guys got 2 of the filter beds clean?
2 of them, we got one more to do, one more filter bed to shovel on and
So it's still okay to do every other day, or do we need to?
Right now.
yeah, I think right now, maybe leave it there. And if the level of the creek falls to where we're taking every bit of the water, we better shut people off on water. It might be kind of an emergency shutdown on not watering lawns.
Well, and I think sometime you guys need to stop by and talk to the state park hosts. Because they water the streets and the sidewalks and the grass.
Are they watering every day?
I'm not sure. They
Okay,
water a
we'll keep an
lot.
eye, we'll get an eye on it.
But because instead of moving their sprinklers around, they just turn them up as far as they can, just so we get the whole thing.
We'll stop them all.
And it just, but I'd rather have you guys go by and mention it to them nicely. So,
Water's gonna get to be a concern though, to a point. So,
It just, well, it's cooled down now substantially, but if we get more of this heat wave that's going on.
Okay, we just need to keep on top of it, so if we need to cut it down,
Yeah.
watering, we'll let everybody know.
We'll let you know if we have to start running the booster pump.
we still got basically 3 months for our lowest water levels in October, so. we gotta- Hopefully we'll get some rain.
Hopefully we get some rain. Irrigation, sewer
Sewer
irrigation.
irrigation, yeah.
I think we're getting down there, pretty close to the mark that indicates that we have like 2 feet left to go. So let you know when that happens.
We have about 2 feet to go, and then we could sustain through winter from that point. But
Right.
if we don't lose power, because we won't be able to get it.
We'll have to have the horsepower on the.
We'll probably do another search though, right before winter gets here, though, right?
If it goes back up high enough, because the problem is you got an 8-inch pipe
Yeah.
drawn so far up, and so it takes quite a suction to get that stuff up.
But we're in good shape right now.
On the power line, but we're good.
Okay,
Evening.
Jim,
Yep.
you better-
Thank you, guys.
Are you guys taking off? Is there any way you can handle the mining water use while they're still here?
well, we know what the answer is that, but we can.
Oh, are you talking about the
Yeah,
selling
out of
the
the
water?
cistern.
Oh, I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah. That-
Because everything from here down, we don't use anyway, just goes down.
As far as crack.
Well, is this after the intake?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I think that's where it
This will come out of Cracker Creek.
Yeah.
comes out of Cracker Creek, we don't have a problem.
Yeah, we're not drawing anything out of that, so it could be used anytime for.
And it's gonna be in September, October.
How much water rights do we have on Craig?
I don't know.
That I don't know.
They were, what is the estimate for
4,000 a day,
a day?
for about 30 days.
Can we legally sell?
Yes,
believe
because it's
so.
not potable water.
Yeah.
With water rights, can you sell water? I don't know.
Yeah, Hans the water guy, he said you can sell water.
Okay,
It's not potable water.
it's good enough for me.
4,000 gallons, that's nothing.
Right.
A day?
Well, it would be if it was coming from a watershed.
Yeah.
That's why I'm out of Macaulay Fork, that's why.
Well, if we
Yeah,
have the water rights and they want the water, we might as well sell them the water.
As long as we have it.
Well, yeah,
We have it out of
Yeah, this
Cracker.
is a draw.
And that's a discussion that we're doing this
When the
evening
city-
anyways, but if the forest Service shuts the forest down, they don't have to drill.
Yeah, they're not.
It's set up for being able to use it for a water source, over here, so.
Okay. Okay. You good?
Yeah.
Okay.
You done with it?
Yep.
See you guys
Can
later.
I stay in?
No.
John, are you doing planning or John or John?
The only item of business we had last night, which was a special meeting, we couldn't get a quorum on the last scheduled meeting, was from Tad and Brenda and the lot line adjustment. We found out last night that they had finished the purchase of the land from Becky and Jim. So the land is officially theirs. There's honestly, we can find no conflict there with any of those city water or sewer lines. And what it would do is give it clear access to their parents' lot, so that if they ever sold it in the future, anyway, we are recommending approval. The other item you have, we have finished up the planning commission ordinance and are presenting it to you for workshop and review. So when you're ready, we'll get together and hash through it. I hope we got it down to the point where it's going to be relatively simple without a whole lot of debate. So beyond that, I won't go any more.
Can you furnish the city with a, excuse me, a Word copy of what you've typed out here?
I will get it to Renee, because I don't work in Word unfortunately, and I can go PDF to you, and you can go from there, I hope.
Yep.
So, okay. All right, any questions?
Any questions on this?
I move we accept it, we adopt it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
All opposed? Okay, thank you, John.
Yep.
Okay, to old business, the Ridley lawsuit.
Did-
Yep,
Did you guys approve it?
yes.
Yes.
Did you? I didn't hear you, sorry.
Yes.
We had an executive session to discuss this. We came up with some verbiage change. So are we all in agreement that we're gonna change that, all send stuff, the verbiage change?
I think, yeah, that we are.
Okay, can I have a motion? that we-
You're gonna tell us what it was?
We were gonna change to read as the deed, the trustee said. It's gonna say Myron Woodley Trust, Myron Woodley trustee.
That's the point.
That's the point. Do I have a motion to go ahead and do that?
To change that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll move we change it from him individually to him as trustee of his revocable trust.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? We'll get that sent off tonight.
Well,
And then we'll get a reprint of the whole.
so we're not doing anything to adopt the settlement tonight.
Well, I thought you wanted to see the verbiage, didn't you want to see it change first?
Well, I would hope that lawyer at $500 an hour could get it right, changing it.
Okay, do you want to make a motion to accept this and?
No, because I'm gonna vote against it, but
Okay.
someone else can.
Do I have a motion to accept this settlement with the verbiage change?
I make a motion to accept the
With the plaintiff
settlement
change?
with plaintiff change.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed?
Opposed.
Okay. The sewer and water ordinance. Renee gave us, I guess we need to, there's some verbiage that has to be changed on each one, on the original ordinance. Has anybody looked at that as far as, or do you want to roll this into a workshop where we can make sure we do have it all correct?
I'd just soon make sure we had it correct. This ordinance was passed just at the beginning of the year, wasn't it?
Yeah, and we're just missing, statements in the sewer. So, we also need to do a zoning ordinance. Do you want to do them both at the same time, or do you want to have separate ones?
The zoning. Which one are you talking about? Or the planning?
Okay, let's do the sewer ordinance. When would be the best time for you to do it? 4 o'clock?
Yeah.
What days?
The 5th and 6th, preferably not. I can work around it if it's at 4.
Charlie, what's your schedule?
I'm looking. Oh, I can't. Yeah, I should do, because I only got an appointment next week, so,
What day do you know?
next week,
Mhm.
Thursday.
Thursday. So how about Wednesday the 7th? Is that for you, Marcia, the Wednesday? The workshop?
Yes,
Oh, wait, I'm on the wrong.
that's the wrong day.
I'm on July, and I'm still here.
Yeah,
Okay, so it'd be the 4th.
4th, that's fine.
I can't do the 4th.
Okay. Well, this is only Tuesday. What do we got this week?
Okay. So why don't we, how about,
I'm good on those, on the other 2 days. If it's at 4 o'clock, I can make arrangements. So you can do 5th or 6th.
we have to be the 6th, because I'm gonna.
Okay. That's fine.
So 4 o'clock on the 6th,
Yes.
And we're gonna do the water and the sewer and
we're gonna do the water and sewer ordinance, and then we'll see if we want to add the zoning in when we get down to it. The 6th. Okay, so we'll do that. Then we have, next thing is Labor Day flea market. Favorite subject again. Discussion?
yeah. I was talking to Rob Gaslin, and he's never been asked, nor has he done any cost accounting on that thing.
Renee's the one who's been doing all the,
I know, but with all due respect, Renee's not an accountant and probably isn't trained in cost accounting. And I think we're kidding ourselves if we think this last one made money, especially after the way the dust abatement was done. So I think we ought to have him tell us what it really costs. That's the proper fiduciary thing to do.
if he has the time to do it.
Let's ask him.
Okay. I guess the only issue with the flea market is we're going to have to make a decision on it pretty soon.
Sure, you can.
And I think the last time the big discussion was on the dust abatement.
Well, and I think there's always a discussion on the percent the volunteers get. I don't know yet. Why not let them put on the whole flea market and they pay us 8%? That way we don't have any risk and they can take it all.
I don't know if they have the people to do that.
Have to think about that one, it's just taking money in, I don't know.
Well, it's a little more than taking money in, unfortunately.
Kind of what we did last year, we ran a whole thing and gave most of the money to the city, so.
Well, I think he's referring to managing the porta potties and the garbage and all that too. Correct?
I'm saying run the whole thing. But we really ought to know what it costs us. And they ought to know too.
Well, did you get the electric, we got the electric bill. No, we already paid the electric bill and done. We basically broke even. On paper, per Renee's accounting of it. We asked her to do that, Martin, and she's been very diligent about doing it, so.
And that's fine, but that's not gonna tell us what the actual cost is.
Okay, so do you guys want to table this until the first and see what Rob's gonna do, or what?
Yes.
Keep beating this horse, so.
Make motion to table.
Okay, so we'll have to have an answer by next month. Because I think we already have vendors, right?
Yes.
Well, we can table this, and then if John, he can do his thinking and see if they want to take it on. Because that's what Martin was asking for the volunteers to do, that'll give you time to, you can check out your end, see if you got enough help.
And that'll probably be the big one, but, yeah, I will crunch some numbers and ask some questions.
Didn't we at the last minute already make a motion and approve to have the Labor Day flea market?
No,
No,
We did not.
no.
no, we did not.
We did, both of them.
How much was the garbage last time? Because we didn't have hardly any garbage.
It was less. I don't have the breakdown here, but it was less and
I can go if I'm.
And it didn't get filled up. It actually, having it locked up in the shop was an improvement. I mean, we didn't get everybody else's personal garbage and have to pay the Holly off.
80 yards.
Okay, we have the nuisance ordinance, the next one on the agenda here. This was, we all got a copy of this, it came from Baker City. Did you look at this, Martin?
Yeah,
You didn't like the last one they had, so,
I think this one still has some inherent problems. And I had asked if maybe League of Oregon City had a version of one. I don't know if they do, you know?
Oh, I'm sure they do. They have a version of everything.
Okay, because I'd asked that we get one and I'd like to
Did
see
you
it.
ask me to get
Yeah.
one?
I did.
okay, we'll just put this aside again.
Kick
And
the
we'll
can.
go to League of Oregon. And then the zoning ordinance. Okay, with this, Marcia and I spent half of a Saturday and went through, because there's been many interpretations of what this says. And that's why we need to have a workshop on this ordinance. Marcia, you've got better notes than I do, you wanna?
It can be argued both ways on the conditional use, everything. I mean, you can argue one way they have to pay it, you can find, going back to section 10, you can argue that they don't have to pay it. Doesn't specify one, doesn't specify three, it says, it has a plural and a singular, so it needs to be fine tuned.
It needs to be
On,
rewritten, basically. In 1994, they didn't foresee people living in their RVs and their motorhomes as much as they are now. And we need to bring this ordinance to include the use of recreational vehicles into the 21st century and what the city perceives, how we want it to go.
and you got to address the livability of the abutting
Yes.
property owners also. When you have a lot and you've got 3 or 4 recreational vehicles on it all summer, people coming and going, you got to address the abutting property owner.
So this one's gonna take some work.
You know, can we, they're diametrically opposed in some respects. And so it seems to me that it might be a good starting place for someone to just draft it one way. And then we can all look at it and say, that's not the right way, let's do it a different way. Because otherwise we'll end up taking forever to debate A or B.
We kind of wrote some stuff out, Marcia and I did, and
Okay?
I have no problems of doing a rough draft.
Yep.
Yes. Renee should already have a copy of it in Word form from when we did it.
Well, what we went through and did it a little differently, we're gonna change the format a little bit, so.
No, I'm not saying that, I'm just saying you should already have a copy in Word form you can do and digitally put your input into it very easily.
Well,
And John has a
yeah,
question.
I see John's got.
Are you working on a specific section of the entire zoning ordinance, or, because planning, we had started review, actually quite a while back of the entire planning ordinance. There's a lot of stuff to take out, like shack,
Yeah,
that's what we're working on.
maybe
Might be best just to get our heads together, we do have some stuff that we have worked on.
we can do a rough draft and maybe get together with you guys, because we mainly looked at it for the RV situations and the livability, how it's affecting the neighbors and the zones and stuff. So if we get a rough draft of that, and then maybe work with you guys. Because like I said, there was a lot of different interpretations, so we sat down and
Yeah.
went through.
And that's probably where it's all gonna begin. We keep the zones that we have. What rules do we use, individual zones, and so on and so on, because it is so old that, an example, the IR zone. Anyone here want a gravel operation running 24 hours a day in the IR zone?
I know, it's got, that's why I say this has gonna be a
Yeah,
lot of
I
work.
mean, there's a lot of things that have to be gone through, and we're working on it. I thought I'll just let you know, we're working on it,
We
so.
just picked out the one portion that there's been a lot of
Yeah.
complaints about. So.
My only point, Linda, was if we start from the same place, you can redline it, you
Yeah,
can
we
see
can-
what the
yeah,
ideas
we
are.
will. Yeah, because I've got notes, she's got notes, and we'll just get it all put together. So, okay, Marcia, we'll have to figure that out.
Okay.
Okay, new business, the LOC resolution. This was the one on the legal. Renee?
Yes, allowing us to use the 15 hours of free legal from LOC.
Yeah, LOC gives us 15 hours of legal advice.
Yeah, last year it was 10.
Yeah.
They upped it to 15 by the request of the survey.
And so they gave us an agreement, and we just need to agree to it, sign it, and send it in if we want to use their 15 hours of legal time.
Do we have a copy of it in front of us?
Yes.
So,
Okay.
I make a motion to pass resolution number 392-21, authorizing 15 hours free legal service from law.
do you have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And then we have employee training request forms. Okay, Renee, this is for the cross connections.
Yes. So cross connections, we are close to 300 connections. And once we get to 300 connections, we have to have someone in the city that is certified on cross connections. Tim has said he will take this class and be that certified person.
And he's got hours, he's got your background for this already, right?
Yeah, this is not his water certification. This is a whole separate thing from being water certified. This is just cross connection and backflow certified.
And we need this because we're getting so many connections.
Right, and if we have, like I said, when we go over 300, we have to have someone here.
So he's gonna do part of this, I understand, online.
Yeah, we're gonna try to save the city some money and have him do the hybrid. So 3 days online training, and then he'll have to drive to Portland to take the test.
The test is in Portland.
The test is in Portland, but he said he could stay with his son.
What's the lunch? The class was actually.
Otherwise,
isn't
in
it?
Redmond,
In Redmond,
Red-
yeah. 4 days.
Reading, Redmond, somewhere.
Reading.
Redmond. Anyway, it was, and he would have had to go for 4 days, and we would have had to pay 4 days hotel and all of that. But this is it, and the class costs the same, whether he does it online or not. So we're just saving hotel.
And the cost is $560.
Yeah.
So,
Is he going to reimburse the city if he fails?
You should ask him that question. You can put that in the motion. If you move to pass this, but if he fails it, he's got to pay the city back.
You do that, Chairman.
Yeah, you do. Do you want to make a motion?
Sure.
I'll make a motion that we approve Tim's cross-connection certification. And if he fails the test, he gets to reimburse the city $560, which I'm sure then he's gonna want to retest, so we're gonna pay it again anyways, but I'd rather do it that way than. So therefore, that's my motion.
Yeah, I'm problem with that. I hope nobody seconds it.
So I take my motion.
Okay, Martin.
Yeah.
Well, you know, he's an employee of ours. Obviously, we have a degree of trust and faith in him. I don't think he's gonna be like Jeff and torpedo things and you just avoid it. I think he's offering to use his time, and so I don't think we necessarily have to ask that.
So then I make the motion now to approve the cross-connection for Tim Jacobson to take the course. And the city will pay the $560.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. And then we already touched on this is regards to the mining core drilling, water use, and as I understand it, they'll be pulling out, so we can go ahead and sell them water and make a little money. So,
Well, it's conditional on Forest Service shutting us down too by the
It's
time.
clock.
that's true.
It's fine.
Is it
Yeah, they're supposed to be here.
Mallard or?
Ken told me that it was gonna be between the end of September, first part of October. So I'm hoping by then we get a little rain between here and there. So
Well, we-
force that shut down.
How do we find out how much water rights we do have?
I can,
Call the water.
I should be able to look it up.
Call the water master.
So,
Water master.
and they understand if there is a water issue that they aren't gonna be able to do this job.
That's in the contract.
I'd start with,
Okay,
Mr. Westfall.
so,
That's who I'd start with.
Who's he?
but they understand that.
The water master.
They're short.
For the creek.
Is this coming out of the cistern, though, isn't it? Or, this is coming out of a different water source, right?
This is, yeah, it's coming out of fact.
Okay. But they do understand that they may be short in water, if the water keeps going down. Okay. And then we're going to go ahead and sell them the water.
And then we can sell them the water. We gotta figure out how much.
So will there be a contract with this?
Better be.
There will be.
How much water do they need?
4,000, about anywhere from 2,000 to 4,000 a day, depending on how deep they get the drill.
2 to 4 per day, depending on the drill.
This is the Canadians coming out of Canada. The guy doing the drilling part's coming out of Nevada.
Does anybody know Dan Warnock?
Yes.
That's where I'd start.
So are they,
About water
are we gonna
rights.
just draw a contract up for them? Is that what they're expecting?
Yeah, whatever we decide to do.
I want to just say that I've had many dealings over the years with mining companies out of British Columbia and Salt Lake City. And if they're from there, I wouldn't trust them as far as like a drop kick an animal.
Well, if we have a contract with them, though, can't we hold them to that, or whatever?
Well, as Sam Goldwood once said, like a verbal contract isn't worth the paper it's written on. And these people aren't either. And Dan Warnock had a written contract with some people to test his tailings. And they left a mess. And he had a contract, didn't do him any good. I don't know anything about these people. I looked them up. They're formed. I can't recall if they're authorized to do business in Oregon, which would be a requirement. Yeah, I don't know what the contract form says. But I do know British Columbia is a hotbed of mine fraud. I'm not saying these people are fraudulent, but, you know, just where they come from. The only worst place would be Salt Lake City.
Well, do you want, are you in contact with them?
Well, you got contact information for Ken Toller, which is out of Reno. He's the one that contacted me and asked me about it. And I told him that the city, we could probably work something out to where we can sell the water and coming in that way. However, we can also make sure that they have their, I don't see these people coming and spending $3 or $4 million drilling holes. And where they're drilling ain't in city limits.
Right.
The thing is though, I can't believe they're coming to spend that kind of money and not have their contracts and, you know, for mining. That's the reason why, because I asked him straight up, I said, why are you waiting till snowfly to go born to do a bunch of drilling? You know, and he says, because they're gonna be here for about 30 days, and I don't know if they're bringing water to drill. But he told me about his water consumption, and it's between 2,000 to 4,000 a day.
Can you get copies of their contract and authorization to work in Oregon and stuff, if you have it?
He should have it.
Can you reach out to them for next meeting?
And when you do that, can you put in considerations for the city that you can sell the water as long as it's available? But should emergency water restrictions require the city to use that water, they have priority?
That's, we'll look at the contract and then we'll adjust it for the city.
Maybe the city ought to have its lawyer look at it.
Okay, we can do that. Get it, and we'll send it to Paige.
Okay.
So next meeting on that. I got some business for council, for you guys to make a decision on. I got this, text yesterday, there you go. from Greg. And he says the project's moving along, telling himself. But I figure to complete everything, it will take work through August. I told him I'd bring this to council, because he says I don't want to have to come back here to work and then have to go back there again for another trip. So he's asking for more time.
Isn't he here now?
He's had 8 weeks. No.
Hasn't been here.
Please, hey, guys. So he's been on for 8 weeks. So he's saying he doesn't really want to come back until August. Otherwise, he'll come back and he will ask me to leave again.
His excused absence was up Sunday.
I believe so.
I move we don't extend it.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? I will let him know. I told him I was bringing it to council. I will let him know. A couple other things. We did, I did go to a meeting last week for the small business, small cities in Burns Block. Just for those that follow it, we did not get the 10% extra that we could take for marijuana, so that did not pass. So that was something that we were all hoping that we get a little more money out of that, but that did not pass. And supposedly the state representative was there, Mark Owens, and he said he was going to come around and start visiting all the small cities. I did corner him and ask him why and how we get our foot in the door about grants. And he says, all I have to do is call him. You know, because I asked why, when they came out with that $54 million, how the railroad got it and stuff. He said they just called him and he helped him get the money. So I told him I would be calling him. And I did reach out because you had asked about the grant stuff. I reached out to Commissioner Bennett too, in regards to Sumter getting on the radar a little more for money.
Good.
So I will keep after them. I told them both I would keep calling. So.
Yeah, I think the squeaky wheel gets the grease.
Well, yeah, and we are getting some of these funds, the Rescue Plan Act. And it can be used for infrastructure, so we need to get some ideas together of how we could use this money. I think it's only 20.
The first trench is 22 and change, and the second one is the same amount.
So
it turns out to be about $45,000.
We get half now and half next year. So we are working on it. So if you guys have some ideas, write it down and we'll throw it together and see if we can get some money. Give me an idea.
Did anybody consider when Bentz wrote back about getting a grant and having the rural fire district do it, and we lease this equipment from it?
I'm sorry, where was that? I'm sorry, Martin, it wasn't on the agenda. That was for the,
For a backhoe, a grader, and a dump truck.
Yeah. So, I guess I need to look into that a little more. I didn't dig into that. I will.
I think is Jan Bowles the secretary treasurer? I think she
Is
is.
that
Powder River.
Powder
Yeah,
River.
she's
Okay.
secretary treasurer.
Oh, is she?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
I will talk with her.
Our fire department it's part of the city, right?
Yes.
Well, it's not really.
No, it is part of the city.
Part of the city.
We are not subscription-based like Powder River.
Right.
We are tax-based.
Okay, but I don't recall seeing it in the budget.
Well, doesn't the Sumter Volunteers?
The fire department's in the budget.
The fire department.
Was it?
Yeah.
Then I missed it.
They have their own
Volunteer
home
fire
pages.
City.
Okay, all right.
But like all the bookkeeping and all that stuff.
That, no.
Not the city.
Okay, guys.
The
Do
city
you
does
know
that.
if Rob
Completely
wants to
different
see the
organization.
financials because the fire department is running
Raise
under
money
the 501c
for the fire
Will
department.
Summit County volunteers? Rob would like to see the financials of the fire department running through the 501c.
Okay. Did you hear that, John?
Now, Jennifer was asking a question now.
Rob wants to see the financials through the Sumter Valley Volunteers that you guys have for the fire department. He wants to see the breakdown of that.
He wants to know
How much is allocated, how much,
how much money we have set aside that has been donated specifically for the fire department. That is, those are separate funds kept separately. And I can get with Nancy and get a number on that. And then, of course, our books for all the other projects are totally separate.
yeah, it's totally separate. It's just that they're in our budget, but they're also running under your 501c and he wants to see the financials for that.
You know, it's kind of, in the past, it's always been the city has their budget. And then when people contribute, for example, the truck out here, the white one, we have somewhere $2,700 accumulated, donated specifically, number one, to paint that truck red. And if we get the truck painted for under that, to get other equipment that the fire department needs. Now, that's a round number, but I can't get the specific number.
I just know he mentioned it at the
But
budget meeting.
I guess I fail to understand how that money is tied in with the city money, because that is a complete different entity, complete different set of books.
I think maybe he would like to know what you guys are budgeting so that he can put items in the budget and pick up where your shortfall, because they're kind of guessing at times.
John,
Since,
you know,
yeah,
sometimes, because, you know, Kurt comes, you know, the city gives him money for things for the fire department.
Yeah.
But we don't know what you guys have for money to donate to the fire department either, is I think is then the question. So,
and do we really want to, and since I'll be working with Renee and Rob, because we have, the grant is, the money has come through for the grant.
okay,
I'll be working with them, and I'll try and find out what Rob specifically
Yeah.
wants.
would you talk to
And
him?
I guess I had just enough of that city budget stuff to make me a little leery of mixing the 501's funds, saying that we're going to buy a certain number of fixtures that we suddenly need with city money budgeted for fire department.
I just think he wants to see really what the fire department has access to for monies for its use.
I will explain to him, and so that council understands, you know, every time, we just set up some drop tanks up there at the
Yeah.
ground.
Oh, yeah, we know
Okay.
that.
So we're trying to get all the fixtures, and Jim Scheller figured it all out and said, John, I need 2 of these fixtures, 2-inch to 1.5. Well, we have the money with the volunteers to do that, to request that. I could probably come to the city, it's gonna be about $70, I suppose, or Kurt could come to the city. The city has that kind of money too, I would hope, but I'll get the numbers to Kurt, where he would like to get it from, whether the volunteers or the city is going to be up to him,
Okay,
where he's gonna request it from.
if you just have a conversation with Ron,
Yeah.
I'd appreciate it.
Because I don't know what we're going to need in the future,
Okay,
so.
anything else you guys want to? bring up? Good. Okay, any public comment? John? That's all that John cares.
Okay. I was faster than you were, John. We do have a breakfast coming up Sunday morning, 7:30 to 10:30. Everybody's invited. Council, I don't know whether we'll want to do this or not, but would it be okay if it looks like we have the demand? Can I go get a couple of picnic tables from Volunteer Park, move them up there so we could sit people outside, and then of course we put them back, and that is if necessary. If we have enough people there, and it
Is that
gets
the
a little
same
crowded.
weekend that we have the runners?
There's two events this weekend, correct? You're doing the motorcycles plus the runners are in town?
Yeah, the runners are also in town and doing Sunday morning. I think some of the runners come over, plus the motorcycle group that requested the breakfast. We're gonna take care of that. And plus hopefully local citizens. But
So the thing is though, is because Tim and Jeff asked today, what they needed to open up and turn the power on for the pavilion and everything down there for the runners. So do they need to pay us down there?
Not generally, they have tables under the.
Oh, they
We didn't
tons of
provide them
tables
last
down
year.
there, Charlie.
Tons.
We
They've
didn't
got
provide
plenty.
He's talking about the ones here.
I'm talking about the tables up here at Volunteer Park.
Oh, like the volunteer?
Yeah, the green ones.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Green or gray, whatever we bought.
We got too much property.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
So if it's all right with council, we may borrow a few of those and put them back right away.
Okay, I don't have a problem.
No problem.
John.
What did we do on the Whibley lawsuit? I didn't ca Are we just changing the title or did you
We're
do
changing
something?
the plaintiff.
Okay,
Ireland,
okay.
yeah, we're changing the plaintiff.
That's it, just a wording change on my.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Hi, my name is Lou Crawl. I'm here from Idaho. I'll get up here.
Thank you.
I'm here because I'm here to ask for some help from you people. We recently bought a couple lots here in town. And I've got a timeline here, but what I'm asking for is forgiveness on the rate hike on the water sewer hookup. Would you like to hear my timeline so you can kind of get a little bit of?
Go ahead, Jeff, quick enough.
Anyway, we put the money down on the property on 5/15. We had our offer accepted on the 18th. We signed the property deed, closed it on the 25th. I called Renee on the 30th to see about getting the papers, okay? Well, at that time, we didn't know of any type of a hike. And in the beginning, we were told that this was the amount to sign up to get water sewer. So on the 19th, we called back to pay for it. Well, then we were told that the rate hike took effect on the 14th. So, just knowing that we'd already been told what the price was, is there any chance that we can be with that same price?
So you made your offer on 5/15
Yes.
and we changed the pricing on 5/14?
No, 7/14.
Yeah, that's okay, 7/14.
7/14 is what I heard. And the thing of it is we didn't get any kind of a notice or somebody saying, well, the rate's gonna change. I mean, it was kind of out of the blue and we didn't.
Yeah, it was an emergency.
We didn't realize
It's an
that.
emergency ordinance because materials have gone up so bad.
Right, I
The
understand.
city was way behind, and when we did these projects, we were actually losing money instead of, we couldn't even break even at what we were charging. It's been a problem.
Mhm.
And by the city doing it now for you, we are gonna be in the hole because everything is tripled in cost.
I noticed the rate hikes have almost tripled as well.
That's.
Yeah, it's just-
It's a lot. I mean, we were told 1,200 and 1,500 and what did it go to?
4,003 for tonight.
Yeah, the price is just.
4,000.
got us.
Well, I mean,
Four for
I
300.
understand and I can hear from whatever, you guys are on a very tight budget. We are a public contractor as well, Idaho, Oregon, so maybe we can be some contribution and come to your community and try to help you out in some different ways. But I thought I would come here and at least state my case and see what we could do about this.
President Council, my biggest problem with this is we probably have some other people that are having the same problem right now.
Mhm.
And we had $154 in our checking account at the last meeting that we had to borrow out of our LGIP account. So we will basically be funding your sewer and water. It's sad, but that's just the way it is.
Kind of like we funded the flea market. Right. Well, all right, well, at least I thought I would try. I mean, it's quite a substantial hike, you know?
We sympathize with you, but you also have to understand, we can't pay the bill either as far as the pipe and stuff.
No, I understand that totally. Like I said, I'm a public works contractor and I know what this stuff costs. I know what pipe costs. I know what fittings cost. I know what tie-ins cost.
We got caught kind of surprised how much everything went when we went to buy some materials
Right,
to replace it.
Right. No, I totally
And that's why
understand. I don't take that away from you at all, for sure. I just didn't know if there was any kind of help we could get, because I mean, it was 4 days after the date that it hiked that we were gonna pay the bill.
Hey, guys. Thank you. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, it was 4 days from the day that you raised it to the day we were gonna pay it, and, you know, we should have jumped on it a little quicker. I mean, it was 6:30 when we finally got to you.
There are some other people that are in the same boat as you, unfortunately. I mean,
I think we found that out when we started ordering new meters and stuff, it just right up.
That's the big reason for the hike, because we had to order new meters. If, I would probably be in your favor if we had the old meters to put in place, because we got them at an old price, but seeing as we gotta have the new meters. So that's what's really tough.
Right.
Because if I had a stockpile of meters in the shop, then we could probably be a little more forgiving.
Yeah.
But seeing as we gotta order them, the last time we ordered them, and then they said, hey, I said, something's gotta be done, because I says, we're going in the hole substantially to be able to do this.
What
do you think, Martin?
Can I add something? I'm Liz Life, Robin. Could we, as he mentioned, we're contractors and we do this very thing. Pipe and groundwork is our business. Isn't there a way we could work together somehow to maybe keep those costs down? And then, you know, like Lou said, I mean, even offering neighborly help some way in order to, you know, just an idea, just a thought.
Did you fill out an application? Because we have a list of approved contractors or licensed and bonded.
We haven't yet. We're still in that process. This just recently happened. We're just trying to get
getting the deal.
Our foot in the door here with your community. And from listening, I understand that everything's really tight for you guys. I can hear that. So, but I thought I would at least try and, you know, come talk to everybody and see what we could do.
Wish we were better
I see
positioned.
wheels are turning in Martin's mind.
Yeah, it seems to me if he's a license, you got your CCB in Oregon? Yes, sir. For general? For public works. Okay. We're a public works contractor, yes. And maybe if he got on the list and he did the digging and everything, you got your own equipment? Oh, yeah, no, we planned on doing all of that anyways, yeah. Then that would save us of hiring our people to do it or paying our people.
But it's the pipe,
You don't pay.
They don't, Martin, that's not part of the price.
What isn't? That's
No,
in
that's
addition?
on top of the
Okay.
4,500 the city.
Okay.
That's
I
just what-
forgot because we went back and
But
forth on that.
the thing is though, is because of the water hookup that you're getting ready to do, because you still have the pipe from the setter out. But other than that,
We can
you still
supply-
gotta pay for the guy to dig the ditch. And I think what Martin is saying, you could save yourself that money because you could get on.
No, we planned on that as well, but I mean, we can do a hot tap. We could do anything as far as that goes from the center to the main as well, if you needed help with that. But, you know, hey, I'm not here to. Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, we're wanting to be a part of this community and hopefully we can help. You know, I see a lot of roads that need help around here. I see a lot of things that need help around here. You know, and we're the kind that we can come in and blow out Willard Street in an afternoon. I mean, I'm just saying, you know, we want to be part of it, so we're just trying. Something funny?
No, it's the first one.
I know.
We said the same thing 2 years ago.
So do you not agree
No,
with
it's not.
us? Or-
Okay, guys, so we're gonna spend.
Anyway, that was all I had to say.
Okay, thank you.
Nice meeting you.
So that means no?
No.
Unfortunately, well,
sad
thank
no.
you.
Well, I have a question.
Okay, just a minute. So there's a hand back here that was first. Jennifer?
Yeah, I just have a suggestion, that is there a way that you can take his fees for all of this and spread it out over a year? Would that help you?
No, I mean, of course, but we're not asking for that, we were just asking for, yeah, 'cause I mean, it was a substantial hike.
As they said.
We were kind of shocked, because, I mean, the form that we filled out was a 2021 form,
Yeah.
and we had no idea that this was coming, and it was just kind of in a sense, I feel it's a little bit unethical,
Okay,
because,
guys.
in a sense, I feel it's a little bit unethical, because we had no
My
money.
question was, if we're not reading the meters, why are we still required to have them?
Yeah,
Why?
that just hit me too. We're not reading them. What kind of meters are we putting in?
Right now, they're just setters. They don't have meters in. This is what
But
it
we're
costs.
getting charged?
This is
Just
what
for
it
the center,
costs.
well, the center, okay, another question is public comment. Why are we cherry picking this water system? A new tank, a new something over there, instead of getting a full-blown system with telemetry, with a couple of wells and a new tank, so everybody's pressure is the same, and you got meters that Renee will read in her office.
Well,
Why are we not
John, are
applying for a grant like
cherry-picking.
that?
We have meters that are coming in our grant, that their meters will be read, that will be coming into the office.
Okay.
It's part of the grant.
Okay, well, nobody knows that, because it's a big secret.
No, it's
So,
not a big secret. The
I've come to
last-
every meeting, I've never heard
The
that.
last meeting, we talked about that we were adding the money for the meters.
When Hiko was sitting right there where Rebecca and Nick are sitting.
Okay, but I missed it, but why are we not drilling wells? Because you can see right now the need for
I
wells.
don't know, our grant.
All of Eastern Oregon drilled wells and got off these watersheds and creeks in the 70s.
Well, all I know is our grant is for what's.
I mean, can we try and get a bigger grant from somebody else to talk to Hiko about doing the entire system
We think we're doing the entire system, other than the water source.
for 750
For 750.
or 1.5?
2.5,
Yeah, that's not very much money.
okay.
I'm sorry, but it's just, that's not much money in today's
Okay, well,
construction.
that's what we have in the works. For the grant, that's what they're working on. Any other public comment? You guys have any more responsive comments? Hello?
No, I'm fine.
You should be, don't you think?
You gonna share, Martin?
Is this like,
No,
No,
I'm not.
No, you're not.
So just watch the video later, it'll be on it.
Oh, okay.
oh,
You
Back
already
to
had
Greg.
your comment.
what?
What, go ahead.
Back to Greg. Does he have a timeline to respond? Because, a month or two later when he texts you back.
We don't have a timeline, yes.
Okay,
It's like he's waiting for a response.
okay.
Do we have all those documents?
He says we do.
He says, yes, he says.
Okay, if there's nothing else,
I make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I have one more thing.
Oh,
I'm sorry for you,
sorry.
Jerry. The application still says 2021 on it, so maybe you guys ought to change that. to make
Well,
sure
our fiscal year came in on fiscal year started in July.
In July 14th,
No.
15th.
No, fiscal year starts, so it can say 21, but it could be last year's fiscal year or this fiscal year.
I see.
so are we in 2022 fiscal year?
We are.
But the common citizen doesn't realize that. We would see 2021, and for us, that would apply as the year of 2021 in that year.
There's the date on it, isn't there?
Yeah, date is in,
Oh, there's
this is
a date on
2021, it's for this year's.
And I think another thing we need to do is let the realtors know also,
Right.
give them updated
Yeah.
copy because.
Right, because we checked, we actually, when we were on site, looking at the property, we asked, what's it gonna take, since it was bare ground, undeveloped, we did ask. We said, what's it gonna take for us to get services in here? And how much do you think they'd allow Lou to do on his own?
Well, I know Baker County, though, when I called them about their fees, they were having an executive meeting and then they were going to pass new fee resolutions that week too that we did it, because they ran into the same problem. Their costs went up, so they weren't forewarning anybody on that either.
It's kind of,
It's just like a lumber company.
hate to be a hard ass, but what if you bought that property this year and 6 years and that later and said, hey, that's what it was.
Okay, guys, we got a motion.
See what I'm saying? It's when you, not when you buy it, it's when you get the service.
We have a motion on the table for adjournment.
I did. I made a motion.
Started up enough around here.
All in favor? Aye.
Thank you.
Okay. How about Tuesday?
Jeffrey. Yep, you were here the last time we did this.
Yep, I couldn't show you where you had that whole pandemic, with my two eyes sticking out. Well, man.
That's gone, but they're trying to bring it back.
Yeah, I know. See how many people will follow back on the.
I don't think Costco's become my mail order friend. I don't have to go.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you, though. I appreciate it.
You betcha. Thank you for letting me come out and kind of throw that out there, so.
So when you applicate, in other words, if I said, hey, Jeffrey, can you come into my place and spray it? So basically, you'll just send me the bill.
We understand, but it's just.
Well,
Depending on how much land you have, because we do have herbicide cost share programs for landowners. You know, I don't know how much land you
Well,
have.
and he has to be a contractor.
About 6 acres, so you can actually get enough herbicide for 6 acres. And you use your labor as the max, or whoever sprays it as the max.
well,
It
but
just
you
shows
should
you you pay
be
for it.
willing to do that in the city. Anybody,
Yeah, we're trying to build the whole wheat farm.
not just.
Well, the biggest thing is that I can see is consistent.
Well, consistency and the ability to run it.
Got to